We need a better one. That's a little better. All right. Thank you for joining us for another episode of The Escape. My name is Nick.
I shot him 6 times. I shot him 6 times. I shot him in the heart. This man is not human. I shot him 6 times. 6 times in the heart. Hi, everybody. I'm Adam. And if I looked a little what the F when you guys tuned in, it's because Mo Tuesday sucks today. That's it.
Okay. All right. Welcome to The Escape, where we cover entertainment, sci-fi, comics, action figures, pop culture, and everything nerdy. Tonight we're going to be talking about some Rings of Power news. House of the Dragon. Is McFarlane making a play for DC titles? Who's the biggest jerk in Hollywood right now? And whatever else we want to talk about. Plus toys. There's so much to talk about. We didn't have a show last week because things happen.
Power outage.
Work gets in the way of the YouTubing sometimes. It's hard to do a streaming job or streaming show when you don't have power to do it. Adam was trying to be a good sport. He's like, I'll just do it from the car. I'm like, no, we're not playing that game.
I would have. I got a mount and everything.
We'll be fine. We'll let it go for a week. But so we have a ton of stuff to talk about, almost too much. But Adam, have you been watching Rings of Power on Amazon or House of the Dragon on HBO?
I have not. I actually had a vacation that's ending right about now where I intended to catch up to Sandman and She-Hulk, and I haven't done any of that. I have just been intensely working with action figures. I am like 3 exterior shoots ahead of myself. I've got stuff laid down for the Bane thing. It's just taking up every second of my life, and I don't mind it, with the exception of when I have to go out and like be Adam and fucking,
when I have to go live my life.
Yeah. When I gotta go be Adam and not the toy man. Hey. Oh, I just thought of. Wait a minute there.
Wait, did we just do a thing? Did a thing just happen?
It was the toy man. He saved us all.
So, talk a little bit about Rings of Power. So, unless you are under a rock, Amazon produced a show called Rings of Power. It's supposed to be sort of like a prequel for Lord of the Rings, but it's based off the Silmarillion, which is part of the J.R. Tolkien writings, which it's not really a story. It's more of like a history of Middle Earth and the different ages. I am not, maybe you realize by now, I am not a Tolkien expert. I am definitely not a Tolkien scholar, but there's been so much drama. There's a helicopter going by my house. There's so much drama with this production, it's ridiculous. Peter Jackson, who is original director of Lord of the Rings and The Hobbit, and he's like, yeah, just send me the scripts, and he wasn't going to direct them, but he'll, help out with the production because he loves Tolkien work, and just, yeah, I'll help out any way I can. And they decided not going to do that. They had a Tolkien lore expert, because Adam, there's one thing with the Lord of the Rings, and I heard someone, say this where it makes sense. It's a very sophisticated fan base. It's probably one of the more sophisticated ones, because you have the Tolkien stuff it's been around for decades, where, Star Wars, Star Trek, they've been around for a few decades, but there's only so much. Like, there's the TV shows, there's movies, that's fine. And then there's, the books and comics, stuff like that came afterwards, where Tolkien cared so much about his universe. He had everything planned and broken down to like the movements of the moon, and like he had everything just planned out, and it started out basically as stories that he would tell his kids at night, and turn into this huge world. It's probably one of the best examples of escapism, right? It's one of the reasons we call the show The Escape, because we believe escapism is important. And one of the ways that he helped with his kids is, help put his kids to sleep, is take them into this little world, and he's expanded upon it, became its own thing. No, that's enough. Sorry.
Nick talks to ghosts.
I'm talking to my dog. He's yelling at me because he wants to go outside. He's been outside for the last 2 hours. But so
yeah, I don't know. You pose these questions to me, and it's or the scenario, and like the producer mind kicks in, and I think, and I think, well, it's Amazon, right? This is Amazon's property,
yep, this is
so it's not.
Bezos's baby.
So it's not like, well, and then there's another thing. If this is quote unquote Bezos's baby, if Bezos is a fan of this, even if he's a bad fan of it, that's another factor to think about. Kind of like what like George Carlin said at one point, like when he was talking about rights. He goes, even if you read the news badly, and you read it badly, you'll know that our list gets shorter and shorter every year. So you're sitting on this property, Lord of the Rings, and you're like, this guy's describing a fucking blade of grass in the Shire. You know, this is some intense stuff. So I'm the producer. I'm like, you better stupid this stuff up as fast as you can so that we can start making money on this or whatever. We got to put this out. This is all we got. These assholes have Superman and these assholes have Spider-Man. What do we got? We got Mr. Smarty Pants. There's that approach. Or then there's also I want this shit as close to the source material as possible. Now, I don't know which one or which path they've decided to go down because I haven't watched it. And let's be fair, I've seen Lord of the Rings one time and I loved it. But it was over a Christmas like 15, 20 years ago. But it was great. But is it locked in that box? I mean, how much more can you do with the Lord of the Rings? And do you have to dumb it down to actually make it digestible or consumable for a regular audience? I don't know.
Well,
I don't know.
Part of the thing, I don't know.
I don't know.
I don't know. One of the things that the biggest scrutiny has been is, and also one of the things Tolkien did, this was supposed to be a mythology for England.
Sure, yeah.
And everybody knows that England, especially in the early after World War One, pretty white.
I was just say
pretty white.
Pretty Anglo.
Yeah.
Whatever sex.
Well, and it's one of those things where people are like, why is there no black people? Why there's no people of color in Star Wars? I was like, because they shot it in London in the 70s. Who do you think's walking around London?
Right.
Yeah,
actually, a good answer to that for fucking the Tolkien fans or whatever, the people who want it to be diverse would be, well, I'm glad you asked, because all of the black crowd that would be around during this time, they're ready to raise wars and come in. These are not the type of people you want to fuck with right now. Yeah. So, yeah, diversity wasn't on their agenda either back then.
So. Well, and it's also one of those things where I think there's been so many things in today's day and age where everybody looks at, especially things from the past with 2022 eyes, right? 2022 eyes are much more different than 1922 eyes or 1970 eyes. It's a completely different culture, and trying to play apples to apples with cultures nowadays, it's simply impossible.
I agree.
To do so. So one of the biggest concerns is one of the biggest concerns about any project today is when you start off with the terms diversity and inclusion, people immediately go, it's kind of one of those things that's gotten to that point. But that is the biggest pushing, things being pushed into today's projects. And I'll just bring up a quick article, or at least a headline. So this is from Bounding Into Comics, and we'll just go with. Should have been prepared better for this one. So, the Rings of Power star Lenny Henry implies critics of Amazon's race swapping are racist. They have no problem believing a dragon can't accept that a black person could be a hobbit or an elf. You are so far off the mark with this statement. It's hard to even, kind of take this seriously. It's not what people are saying. Right. It's what, comic fans have been screaming for years. Just stick to the source material and take it seriously. That's
No shit.
that's all. That's kind of all people ask. And do I have an issue now? It being 2022, am I surprised at this? Of course not. Have I accepted that? Yes, they're going to make changes just strictly because, hey, we're just going to, put people, or we're going to try as fit as many 2022 things into a show in 2022. I'm not surprised in the least. But for purist Tolkien fans, it's, hey, this is not source material. This is, part of the problem. And when you, like I said, some of the issues that we were talking before, when you had the Tolkien expert basically get fired off the show because he's saying, hey guys, this is straying a little too far from canon. And they're like, oh, okay, you're gone. And oh, hey, maybe we should talk to the guy who made one of the people who made Lord of the Rings what it is, Peter Jackson. And he's like, yeah, let me know. I'll, send the scripts over. I'll, make some notes, whatever. Never did it. So, and now that the show's come out on Amazon, Adam, if you were to really, if you had so much stuff going on before the show even came out, wouldn't you really, want to, I don't know, put your best foot forward, if you will? Wouldn't you want the first 2 episodes be like, hey, these episodes are so well written. There's so much, we put so much effort and work into making this world awesome, and to make Tolkien proud. Isn't that what you think they would do?
Well, yeah, you would, but that's not what they're looking for. Like they're overcompensating for what they consider to be the 99%. Like whether you and I like it or not, and people who like intensely listen to this show, thank you for doing that. And shows like this, we're still the 1% as far as the hardcore, like diehard fans, which is probably why we take it so damn personally when it's not done right. On the other side of all of this, I don't know how good or how bad their scripts might be, but that where you read about the black actor saying that, or whoever said it, I don't know who said it, but that they have a hard time believing that a black person could be a hobbit or an elf. I do have a hard time believing that when we're doing this under the umbrella of the 2022 eyes, like you're talking about, and like this woke / cancel culture. Now, I do remember Peter Pan being played by a woman when I was a kid in the old stage plays that were put on television for us later. I don't remember what that woman's name was. If you found a black actor that could, this is the guy. This is it. This is the guy. This is the only guy that can play. I only know one elf. This is the only guy that can play Gimli, okay? He's the only one. But this guy looks just like Gimli. If this guy's black, I don't give a shit. This guy's the guy who should play Gimli because he's funny. He's got it. If it's for that, I'm in. But that's not what this is about, is it?
Gimli's a dwarf, but yes, I know what you're saying.
Okay, fine. Oh, that's right. Elves are normal-sized people with pointy ears in the Tolkien world. That's right.
Well, actually, they're taller, but I mean,
right.
Neither here nor there. We're not going to get into it. We are Tolkien normies.
Pretty solves everything. Liz, or not Liz. What's her name?
Amber Heard.
Not Amber Heard. Well, yeah, she's forgiven. But
we were talking about that earlier.
Liv Tyler. That's why I said Liz.
Yeah.
Liv Tyler. Wasn't Liv Tyler an elf in
yeah,
Lord of the Rings? So there you go. So pretty solves everything.
Exactly.
Wow. Now, what if they would have had? Now, see, under that logic, let's just say Stacey Dash was going to play that fucking character. I'd say let her do it.
Yeah, it's fine. But not getting back to my point. But if you were producing the show, wouldn't you make sure your first 2 episodes were released were the best example of the Tolkien world that you had made? Yeah, you could make. Yes.
Yeah. Yes. 100%. Yes.
Okay, so the very first scene that they have is, not the first scene. The intro is they have Galadriel, who is played by Kate Blanchett, in the movies, and they have her leading a group of soldiers for hundreds of years trying to track down Sauron because killed his brother, and she's after revenge. For hundreds of years, she's tracking him down. And see, this is part of the issue I have. So I have an issue with maybe I listen to the Jocko podcast too much. Maybe not too much, but a lot. So when I see like a military leader, I'm gonna go like, hey, so that's kind of my basis for what military leaders should be, right? They should be strong, but they should be uplifting all their other lieutenants and all their other subordinates. This is what happens. She's leading them through a sheer face of ice, and she's climbing, and her subordinates are below her, and they look up. She's like 100 yards ahead. She's just plowing straight through. They're going through this fierce snowstorm, and one of the guys falls down, and they're like, "Hey, let's go get our buddy." She's like, "No, let's go!" Like just total girl power in through everything. She eventually stops to help him and puts a blanket around him. But they make one of the main characters in Lord of the Rings, Galadriel. She's an incredibly powerful, awesome character. Adam, they make her such an asshole that it's hard to be like, there's how you do things and there's how you don't do things.
I mean,
when it comes to like leadership.
Is she supposed to be likable, or
well, here's part of the problem. She's an elf. She's I forget exactly what her title is, but I think she's like the witch of the woods and all that. And so part of her thing is, especially in Lord of the Rings, she's so powerful that you don't even go into her woods because she can get into your head and kind of mess with you that way, and that people are scared to go in the woods because they're scared of her. There's nothing about her where she's a warrior and she's leader of men and she's a leader of other elves. And that's the thing too. So like elves, when they come into battle, they're supposed to be kind of like the special forces. They're the badasses, right? Everything's like pristine and pretty and like essentially everything. They're beautiful. Their armor's beautiful. Everything they do is just, exquisite. And this is not what we have. We have her leading a bunch of bumbling elves. They're clearly not as good as her, even though they've been following her for 200 years. You'd think she'd have taught them a few things. And they end up, I forget but they fall upon a temple for Sauron, and they go inside, and she just walks up to this wall, punches the ice wall, knocks it down. It's be like, this is a doorway. It's be like, how could you possibly have known that? There's no way you could have known that wall covered in ice was a door at some point. And she's like, you guys knock the rest down. And it was just like, Jesus Lord, like everything, like she can do no wrong at all. Everything she does is awesome. And then there's an ice troll. Ice troll starts, kicking all their asses and, literally killing her people, killing her guys. Can't touch it, but she jumps in and kills the thing in like 5 seconds. It's just one of those like,
bleh.
Yes, blah, girl power. Most pretty much all guys are stupid. No one's clearly as good as she is. She's the best. She's the best it's ever been. And you know how you don't write like a character that people that care about? You don't do shit like that.
Right.
It's like Rey all over again. It's even what's her name? Grace Randolph referred to Galadriel as a Karen and a Mary Sue in one.
Karen and a Mary Sue.
And I'm sitting here watching with my wife because my wife likes Lord of the Rings, and we're sitting there watching. She's like, well, "What do you think?" I was like, "I freaking hate her. She's just so damn unlikable." and there's just so much stuff. So they go into the room, and it's it's a secret room, obviously, that she just mysteriously found somehow, because she punched a wall and found the doorway. And there's these orcs that are, that are like melted into the stone, and she just goes, "Oh, this is where they practice dark magic," and blah blah blah. I was like, "You don't know that. You have no idea what happened in this room. You have no you. There's no evidence to support any of that. Like, it's just you have no idea what happened here." And she, just started going, "Oh, it's this, it's that, it's this has happened, this happened." I was like, "You don't know any of that. You can't prove any of what you just said."
Wow. Sounds like
So
it's a very disorganized show.
it, and I'll say it, and this was like the first time I was watching. I was like, "She's a freaking a hole," and she's a like, I hate to use the term because I hate it, but it's just because it gets overused. She's a Mary Sue, or it's just like everything she does is perfect. She literally not a smudge on her face in 200 years. Everything's while her guys are getting destroyed, makeup's fine, hair's fine, but can do no wrong.
So it's like a Mary Sue, kind of like what a hero's supposed to be, but just like a woman's not allowed to be it.
No, Mary Sue is basically, because Ray's essentially the best example of a Mary Sue, where in like Luke's journey, Luke has the classic hero's journey, right? Where he goes through trials and tribulations, gets his hand cut off, all this. A Mary Sue is basically, she's great at everything. She never has to work hard for everything. She's just instantly great at everything. Everything she does is perfect. Everything, can do no wrong. Everything just perfect.
So she's got no trials or tribulations.
No, I mean,
she doesn't have to make a decision of whether or not to let her friends die if she values what they fight for, or go and save them and end up losing her own life. Kind of like what Luke had to face in Empire Strikes Back.
A little, like, somewhat, but it's more of like
she doesn't have that.
All the people around her are morons. She's the best at everything everything that they need someone to be the best at. She's the best at everything.
Right.
Like in what, like in the ice troll scene, if they just showed the team working as one to say, "Hey, we've taken down big creatures before. Let's do that because we've been fighting for 200 years. We know exactly what we're doing."
Right.
That's not what they did. They showed a bunch of guys got beat the hell, and then she literally gets flung because the guy uses his sword to make a ramp, and she runs and he flings her at the ice troll, and it's just like, and she just killed it in like 5 seconds.
Diana Shield.
Yeah. So, all
right. You can't call Wonder Woman a Mary Sue, at least. Thinking
about
that.
No,
she gets screwed over every 2 seconds.
Well, she had to go through trials and stuff. It's one of those things where, if I hate to keep using Ray, because Ray's the best example of, she just was immediately good at everything for no reason.
I mean, like it or not, like it. If you like Ray, that's fine. But it or not, you are right. You are right. She never had a challenge.
I like the character of Ray. I think she's fine, but she had. Everybody tries to make her seem like, oh, it's kind of like Luke. She's nothing like Luke. Like, in all reality, she stood toe to toe with Kylo Ren with zero training. That shouldn't happen. What happened to Finn is what should have happened to Ray.
Right. What did happen to Finn?
He got cut. He got his back all cut up.
Oh, that's right. He got fucked. He tried to fight with a lightsaber, didn't he?
Yeah. Well, okay, we're getting off topic, but that's another thing, because Finn had a decent story arc going, where you went like, oh, he might be Force sensitive. He might be a Jedi later, because he grabbed a lightsaber. He had used weapons before, so that made sense. So he was trained by the First Order, so he kind of knew, like, yeah, I can use a weapon. That made sense. Ray had a stick, which is not a lightsaber.
I am going to say this. I'm the furthest thing from anything that could become a Jedi and anything like. But if there was a lightsaber and you didn't have a projectile firing weapon, oh, you're fucked, pal. If I got the lightsaber, if you got a gun, I'm screwed. But if I got the lightsaber, yeah.
And if I get a lightsaber, I'm screwed because I'm just going to cut my own hand off.
And then there's that.
Especially Kylo Ren's one when he's got the little.
The one that comes out
frosting.
each way. Yeah. Yeah.
I was like, yeah, that would just screw me over. So, all right. So the first 2 episodes of Rings of Power have been released. The first one, second one's a little bit better. You get some dwarf action. I like dwarves, but dude, just some of the writing, it's just so freaking brutal.
Dwarf
So
action, huh?
I love dwarf action. Good old fashioned dwarf action.
I sounded like a little bit dirty as mine. Dwarf action.
Oh yeah, we do dwarf action here. But anyway, like one of the, and I hate to pick on Galadriel but she's the star, she's the main character, and they've made her just. Here's an example of some of the bullshit writing. So once they finish in that part of the cave, they kill them all. Like all the guys are like, "Look, man, we've been following you for 200 years. We're not going to find Sauron. Like we're not any closer. Yada yada." So they actually quit on her, and so they go back to, I forget the name of the main elf place once again. Normie, sorry, but she meets up with Elrond. Elrond's one of the characters from Lord of the Rings. And he's just like, "Look, man, like you've been fighting for 200 years. Like, give it a break." She's like, "No." He's like, "You don't even have like evidence that Sauron, is alive." He's like, "Then why doesn't it feel like he's gone in here?" And I'm like, "The hell does that mean? What is that?" It's just like, it's some of the worst writing. And that's saying something that I've seen. I was just like, "Oh, well, let's all talk about how we feel." That's right. Okay. I don't feel like something isn't wrong, so I'm gonna feel like it's wrong, and that's what matters is how you feel. Which I guess makes sense for 2022. But anyway, the
Feelings are bad. Don't you fucking have them. You understand that, people?
Doing my best.
I'm only human, but I'm working on that.
Yeah, exactly. I remember as a teenager, I tried my best to be like Data. I was like, that makes life better. That's easier. I'm just not gonna.
Yeah, me too. It led to a lot of years of drug and alcohol abuse and attempted suicide. What else?
Let me tell you what's not the way to do things.
Right.
It's okay to feel, but don't be ruled by your feelings. Anyway, don't be so emotional. But anyway,
be very emotional. Burn shit down. Go.
Stop
be
that.
Very emotional.
Don't do that.
Best time in history, pal. The whole fucking country's on fire. I'm like, great.
That just happened. We just did that. Let's not do that again. So first 2 episodes. First episode is Second episode's a little bit better, but overall, I got to give this about a 5. It's I'll wait for the rest to come out, but for the first 2 episodes, that's why I was asking if you were to have the first 2 episodes, like that should have been like really like basically a hey, here's what we're doing. Here's 2 hours of our best stuff. Right. And if that's your best stuff, it's going to be a long season.
Yeah,
especially something that they've been working on for 2 years.
It's surprising to hear all this though, because it's coming from Amazon, and these are the guys that brought us. Not that I'm a big fan or anything of this, but like The Boys and Invincible, and they've brought in a lot of credible.
They've had some really good shows
to their network.
Reacher, Terminal List, really good shows.
You know what? Aside from any of the BS that's probably touched the show, aside from like woke culture, cancellation culture, all that kind of stuff, getting this down to the brass tacks of it, and I'm just gonna go back to the statement I was talking about before. I said, hey, we better dumb this up real quick for the 99%. This is hard. Like Lord of the Rings to me seems like it's one of the harder properties to bring to life. And it's like you get Peter Jackson's trilogy and you get the extended cut and you get the theatrical cut. And you know what's really good about the take what I say with a grain of salt, because I'm not a Tolkien connoisseur or whatever, or expert. But like the theatrical cuts are excellent, and so are the extended cuts. Where I'm going to use this as an example for the rest of my life. Take Batman vs Superman. The theatrical cut is a hunk of garbage, steaming, all because it's missing 20 minutes, literally missing 20 minutes. Then you see the Ultimate Edition, and it's great. Lord of the Rings doesn't have that problem. Yeah, you get this great story, and then if you're even more of a diehard, you get to wet your beak even more. You get to wet your beak even more with the extended cuts. So I don't know, man. I mean, we have a mutual friend we went to high school with and everything. His name's Chris. A good guy. He started reading Lord of the Rings, and he's like, I've been reading this book for like 3 weeks. I'm still in the Shire, man. I'm still trying to get out of the Shire.
My son tried reading it, and he's very much like his mother, where he can really plow through a book when he wants to. And he's like, couldn't do it, could not. Like, he loves Lord of the Rings,
Right.
and he's like, so much. He's like, you think there's a lot of walking in the movie? Like,
Right.
it's 10 times more. So if you're one of those that, God bless you, if you can plow through that stuff, and I know people that do, like, I know people that go and like read it like once a year, and I'm like, holy geez, that would like each book would take me a year. That's how slow.
Right. Well, okay, and then go back to last year with Dune. Now, I'm not going to go and watch any of the other Dune stuff that's come out right now. I'm not that deep yet. I'm not ready for that yet. But that movie was amazing. Could you do a Dune TV show and do it right? Yeah, you could after seeing that. And yeah, you could make a Lord of the Rings after seeing what I saw, but I don't know. It just seems like both of those properties are real hard to get into the physical world. And I think it takes a certain kind of producer, and I think it takes a certain kind of team to get that done. And if we're already arguing about woke topics, then you don't have that team over there. That team's not there.
Right.
That
Well,
team is absolutely not there.
Well, I was listening to the show today. They're like, and the conversation went from not only, so obviously with COVID, everything, it's ruined production for lots of things, but should what they've got going on now for season 2 for Rings of Power, should they just stop and then like do a hardcore course correct? Because Amazon shut down their reviewing for 72 hours for this show. That's how bad it is. So
if you've got
give me one
plans,
second, be right back.
sure. I'll just say this real quick, and I'll say it when Nick gets back. If you got plans to do a second season and your first season's already taken a dump, it's old-fashioned TV. Cancel the second season. Don't spend another $1 on it. If you can't get it right, and if you're going to do a major course correction, that means you got to fire people, you got to hire new people, you got to find out where the problem is. It's not necessarily that easy. I think, my personal opinion, the best course correction is to cancel it all, shut it down, and don't do it anymore. We need to get back to that kind of television.
Well, that's the thing.
As much as I love Superman and Batman and everybody, right, Nick? Right. There should never be another movie right now. Not for another 10, 20 years. Hey, we're fucking this stuff up. Shut it down. Let's move on. That's what they used to do.
Well, and so on that note,
we lost something when we quit doing that.
Oh, we did. But, well, and part of the problem is you realize, like, how much the corporate, not to play the corporate game, corporations are evil or whatever, but they just control so much. Where it's too much where they just don't care. That's why I keep saying Zaslav is doing the right thing, but it's not because he cares about the property so much. It's just because now he's in charge of that property, so he's got to do what's best for it.
He's made a good point though about DC. He basically said this is a no-brainer. I'm paraphrasing.
This is a no-brainer.
Yeah, this is a no-brainer. Why don't we have where's Superman? And then 2, he says, why are we on the lot? Why don't we have our own production studio right down the street? And then he uses Marvel as an example. Marvel has their own production studio. They're not shooting over at Disney. They're shooting at Marvel Studios. And so I like Zaslav because not just because he's given BS the axe that doesn't, that's not going to make money or that's not going to make them look better. I like him because he's trying to trim the fat and he sees a property that should be successful. He sees how it was handled and he's ready to make a course correction. But as I was saying before you were leaving, while you were gone, you're saying, what do they do about a second season if they're going into it? Do they just do a major course correction? A major course correction could lead to firing people, hiring people. You have to go down and see what the problem is. Obviously, there's a problem in writing. Obviously, there's that. And then there's obviously a problem with what gets approved to go into the script.
Well, and that's part of the thing. So we keep bringing up Zaslav. Zaslav is not Jeff Bezos.
Right. It's not part of this. He was an example.
Right. No, I'm just saying. But Jeff Bezos is one of the richest men on the planet.
Sure.
Who is, I think he's technically stepped away from the day-to-day stuff for Amazon, but I think he's still like the majority shareholder. So he can go, hey, pull the brakes, stop this thing and fucking get it right. Because what we're doing right now is like we've pissed off the fans. We are getting our asses handed to us by House of the Dragon. This is how ruthless House of the Dragon is. Which is the prequel to Game of Thrones. So House of the Dragon on HBO Max. You know what they did with their first episode, Adam? So you know how HBO Max, you have to pay for it. They released the first episode for free on YouTube as a middle finger to Jeff Bezos and Amazon. To say like, yeah, eat that. Get you some of that. Because I think the opening weekend or the opening views for like House of the Dragon was like 8 million, almost 9 million viewers compared to Power of the Rings, like almost not even 2. Like it's not even comparable,
With all of that money you're talking about, with what Bezos has and all the resources he has, this is where I stand on this. Cancel it. Just don't do it anymore. You don't know what you're doing. Walk away and get a new show out there. You don't come up against Game of Thrones with another show that's kind of like Game of Thrones. You know what you do? You go up against Game of Thrones with the revitalization of Perfect Strangers. Okay? You do something funny, you do something that's not in that niche, and you attract the other people who aren't watching that shit over to you. You don't try and say, hey, you Game of Thrones fans over there, you like murder, rape, killing, all this stuff. Well, over here in Lord of the Rings, we're going to walk a lot. Not going to murder, and we're going to run.
But that's also part of the issue is that, like, part of the rumor is Bezos said, I want a Game of Thrones. And they're
you're
like,
a fucking idiot, Bezos.
Well, everybody's like, well, and also, like, how do you, like, say, like, hey, that cultural, like, thing where literally everybody was glued to their TV sets, like, on Sunday evenings, where I watched a video, I think it was in New York, where someone was just took a video outside of a building and you could see all the TVs doing the exact same thing. And it was when, like, Game of Thrones came on. So everybody in this building, like, probably, like, literally 40% of this building were all watching Game and you could just see, the lights, everything doing, mirroring, all the lights, doing the exact same thing.
All the lights were exactly flickering, and
yes,
I can picture that.
Yeah, that's not happening with your Rings of Power. Now, here's the problem, Adam. They spent $500 million just to do the rights for it. And then I think they're doing $60 million an episode. They're in far too deep to say we're cutting bait and we're saying screw it. Because
sorry, go ahead.
Part of the biggest problem is, Adam, these studios will never say these words. We were wrong. They never will.
Well, that's a problem because you're at $60 million an episode. And you're not doing well. There's never been a better reason to stop and quit.
Well, that's what you and I would do. Be like, dude, we're wasting money. But when you have literally, I don't know, Amazon's got to be close to like the biggest corporation. Like either they are or they're very close to.
Yeah.
They've got essentially unlimited cash flow, but what they don't have is unlimited talent.
Right.
And they don't realize that yet. And like I said, once you came up against the Tolkien fans and you thought they were just like the Star Wars fans or the Star Trek fans, where you know, the Star Wars fans for Kenobi were, you just called them racist, and you know, everybody like scattered and ran away. That's not what the Tolkien fans are going to do. They're going to sit there, you know, they're English and they're have the stiff upper lip and tell you to go get fucked, you know.
Yeah, let's hope. Let's
So,
hope.
yeah. Anyway, so moving on to House of the Dragon, talk about a show that I know nothing about. I know next to nothing about the Games of Thrones universe except what I picked up on the peripherals because I never watched it, and it was just one of those things where, you know, by the time, you know, I was even interested, it was like 6 seasons in, and by that point, I'm like, I'm not taking. If I were a season or 2 behind, that's a thing. That might be a thing, but when I'm like 5 to 6 seasons behind and I get caught up, I'm not going to do that. Plus, I had some other issues with it, but it was, like we were saying, it was a cultural phenomenon where everybody was talking about this show. And you know how, Adam, you know how it is, how I feel about when something that everybody likes, I hate it.
I know you. Yeah, too well.
So I was just like, it can't be that good. Everybody likes it. If everybody likes it, even the normies, how good can it be?
Right.
But because of the show, and plus, what else I got going on Sunday evening, I said, I'll check out House of the Dragons. Adam, it's pretty damn good.
I believe you.
And and one of the biggest things I had an issue, and one of the biggest things I have issues with in general with HBO is like, golly, like, let's be honest, watch porn, you know, that's a thing, whatever. But geez, like some of the scenes in like HBO shows, I was like, did we have to go that far? Like,
See,
do we have to?
I hear you on that. And what upsets me is that they don't do that in regular network television. Why don't I see that kind of behavior, that kind of nudity, and that kind of gratuitous on my regular television? It's crazy how, and like you could see that in your regular television, like in Europe, but for some reason, naked bodies and naked people are taboo here in America. But over there, it's like, well, we're not going to show all this violence. Are you crazy? No, I think that level of violence and I think that level of nudity should be available to all.
I'll tell you one of the most uncomfortable sex scenes I've ever seen in my life. Like, it was like watching your parents have sex, and that was in the Pacific. That was like the sequel to the Band of Brothers.
Why was it like watching your parents?
Because they just showed like the whole thing. Like, it was just a static shot of, you know, and you didn't even, I think you saw like her top, but you know, they had a sheet on, but it was just like, you saw like, just, it was a very quick, very real. It was just like watching 2 people have sex where it was just, you know, a couple minutes. You could see him, you know, see him climax. And I'm just like, I'm just like, it's just like, oh, I was like, I'm okay with, maybe it was just at the time and I was in a mood, but for some odd reason, that scene just, I was like it felt like I was literally peeking into someone's bedroom, and
right,
I was just, it was that peeping Tom thing, which I don't have. I don't have that thing like at all.
At all, right? When it's shot like that, I get what you mean. Because last year I was watching Halloween 3, and I'd never seen Halloween 3 because Michael Myers wasn't in it. Everybody always told me it was a piece of shit. Then I was listening to some podcasts, and some podcasters that I respect were saying it's actually a pretty good movie. It just shouldn't have been called Halloween 3. I'd have been a lot happier with this movie just being called Season of the Witch. And so I watch it. And I agree with them. They're right. But the main character in it, the investigator or the guy, he's in all the other B horror movies of the time too. He was in The Fog and all this stuff. Well, meets this girl, and they're in his motel, and yes, they're definitely having sex, and he's on top of her, right? And he goes down and he puts his mouth right on her boob, and he sucks her nipple for a second, and I'm like, wait a minute. wait, and I I couldn't believe I just saw it. I wasn't offended. I was like, that was very intimate to show on television. That wasn't like a horror movie where you see the girl's boobs and then 5 minutes later there's a slasher scene. It wasn't. It was like peeping into somebody's fucking bedroom.
Yes.
And I was like, that's creepy.
And
so I get what you meant. I get what you mean on that one.
And it was, you knew like this was their first time. Like you just watched them have their most intimate of moments.
That's true too.
For the first time, and you're just like, one of those.
I'm like, they don't do it like that anymore on TV, guys. That's like, probably a good thing.
Yeah. But,
which makes me go back to thinking about like the level of like intensity they use on Game of Thrones is probably, at least in the way my head works after we just made this comparison, way more appropriate than watching this guy intimately suck this girl's nipple. And I'm like, that looks like a porno.
Right.
You know what I mean? That doesn't, it was just weird. It was weird. It's still weird in my head to this day.
But anyway, so getting back to House of Dragons, there's been like a couple sex scenes, but it's been very like, okay, I can get past that. And it's like, not like I have an issue seeing people naked. I've watched enough HBO programs to be like, yeah, okay, we're good. But so there's not a ton of that, but the cast is freaking fantastic. And it's led by Paddy Considine. Apologize, I'm saying that wrong, but he's one of the Andys from Hot Fuzz, and I love him. He plays the King Targaryen. Matt Smith is the Prince Daemon Targaryen. He is from Doctor Who. I think he's the 11th Doctor. Rhys Ifans. I'm saying that some of these names I'm just terrible with. He's Sir Otto Hightower. And then, yeah, I could go on, but it's fantastically acted. And it's one of those shows, Adam, where there is action and there's plenty of the limbs chopped off and all that, see all that good stuff. But they do an excellent job of playing the politics game, which you think politics, but like politics are boring, and be like, not if they're done well. And this is one of those shows that really does it well. And I think, and also some of the things that come with, the term heavy is the crown, right? Well, one of the hardest things that a king has to do is he needs to propagate his line. And that's one of the things that we have an issue with is, spoiler alert. So the first episode, his wife dies in birth along with the male heir because he lived for a few minutes and then he ends up dying. So his wife dies, his firstborn son dies, and now what he does is he had a daughter before. He names her as the heir, but also so he's named an heir, a female heir, but also everybody is still saying, "Hey, where is our prince? Where's our male heir?" So he's still dealing with that. And one of the options is one of the families offers up their 12-year-old daughter as the next, and even in Game of Thrones, even he's like, hell no. Right? Like,
what, the main character guy?
Yeah, the king.
Wait, yeah, they offer up their 12-year-old daughter for him to get pregnant?
Yeah, as the the bride to be,
as the bride to be. Oh, they offer her up as a bride?
Yeah, and it's pretty much like, yeah, you can't knock her up for a couple years, but here, take our daughter to help, strengthen our households, and it's a political move. It's and it's just
a slew of jokes and stupid scenarios just ran through my head. Like, so what are you gonna do after the wedding, man? Well,
wait 2 years.
She likes hopscotch.
Right. And she likes Pokemon, and I like Star Wars.
Oh no! That sounds terrible. Oh man! Now you just made us look like asswives. Never mind. Move on. Next topic. No, I'm just kidding.
Next topic.
But come on, she likes hopscotch and hula hoop, and I think I'm gonna try to have sex with her mom.
Yeah, it's one of those things where it plays into really the dirtiness of the political game, especially. I know it's the made up world, but you know that's how that was the running gag with not the running gag, but it's a joke that we always made about royals, right? They're all inbred, which isn't untrue. So
It's not untrue.
yeah, everything was done to keep for power and to keep the power as close to the family as possible. So you see a little bit of that, plus some of the actions. Plus, there's dragons. Who doesn't like dragons? Dragons are fun,
I do like dragons.
and they're done well. They're cool dragons.
I really like that movie Reign of Fire. With
I was gonna
Christian
say,
Bale.
I would say Reign of Fire, Matthew McConaughey.
Yep.
Matthew McConaughey is an absolute nut job. Love it.
Yeah, and you know what? That's like still, in my opinion, the best dragon movie I've ever seen.
Well, it's one of the few times that they've done dragons where I said that makes sense. They eat ash, okay? Because most of the times it's like, here's a dragon. Be like, yeah, but like, what do they eat? Like, what is their motivation?
You just burn the shit down and eat it.
Right. But yeah, it's just one of those things where I was like, yeah, dragons are cool, but I was like, how do they fit into this world? I think it's one of the better movies that actually said this is why dragons fit into this world because yeah, they eat ash. I was like, that all right, I can deal with that. It's not the most complicated example, but I'll take it. Good enough.
Weren't they also in an Ice Age?
I don't think an Ice Age, but I know it turned into post-apocalyptic because they killed so many things. But
yeah,
not an Ice Age. I don't believe. Not that I remember.
I don't remember now either.
But I just remember that's a good movie. After that might be one we should review.
I'm in.
So, all right, write that down. Reign of.
You should write that down.
Write that down.
A money clip.
All right, Adam. Let's switch gears over to comics. There have been rumors, Adam, that DC might be entertaining having McFarlane take over some of their titles, and I think one of the examples that is kind of going on right now is with McFarlane's Page Punchers line right now.
Yeah.
So
I just want to see Batman solve a fucking case. I don't want to see him in space. I don't want to see him wielding a hatchet. I don't want to see him driving on a fucking dragon or riding a dragon or in a big white uniform standing with Wonder Woman and frickin' Superman. I just want him to go bring in some horrible criminal and have a few emotional scars from it and learn some lessons. But I'm never going to get it again. Ever. Ever.
but
Hush
you know
was
what
the
you,
last story.
you know what you are going to get, and we're getting a Jay Garrick. Was it Death Metal, Speed Metal?
Yeah, I got to pass on this one, buddy.
I like Jay Garrick, but I didn't. Okay, there's a few things I didn't realize. It looks like there's a flash going across his face. Not a fan of that.
I think
But
that might be because of the character he is, though.
Right. And I apologize. I don't know the DC, especially Flash stuff, nearly well enough to know what the Speed Metal line is. But that is one of the things that McFarlane's bringing also. So I hate fast running zombies. Kid Flash from our Speed Metal. Build a Wave.
I'll get him for sure. But the Jay Garrick one, the reason I would say I'm not necessarily going to pass on it, but I want a regular Jay Garrick first. You know what I mean?
And that's kind of I was like, I like Jay Garrick, so I want him. But all right, so this is Barry Allen from the Speed Metal.
This looks like Barry Allen in the gay bar at Nightmare on Elm Street Part 2, Freddy's Revenge, where it's like, what? It's not a gay movie. It's not a gay movie at all.
Yeah, it's not gay at all.
It only goes down in history as the gayest horror movie ever made.
Yeah.
So yeah, there's your gay Barry Allen.
Sorry,
I'm terrible at your gay. No offense to anybody who's gay. He just looks a little. What you call it?
It's not masculine.
Yeah, but who are those people who sing about that song, that place with the pool?
The YMCA.
Why he looks
Village,
like the village people?
he's a DC Village person.
Yeah, he looks like the DC Village. But hey, what's going on here? Why'd they make him purple?
That's a Wally West.
I know.
I don't know why.
It's just a repainted buck though, but it looks good. I didn't even know this was a thing. That's the thing. I didn't know that speed metal was a thing.
Nope.
I read all of Dark Knight's metal. At least I think I did on the app. I read every connecting book I knew of. I had never heard of speed metal. So
yeah, and here is the Build-A-Figure.
What is that?
Dark Knight's Death. Dark Knight's Death Metal.
I mean, I like how he's made out of like that resiny plastic, that translucent stuff. He looks cool as shit. Don't get me wrong. I don't know who he is though.
Yep.
Yeah. But these are gorgeous figures. They really are. Even the YMCA one.
Yeah. All right. So these are the ones I was talking about. These are the Page Punchers line that actually come with the comics here.
Are these 7-inch or are these?
These are 7-inch. These are 7-inch. So this is the Flash.
Dope.
And so I'm not sure. I don't care for the face, the head sculpt so much with the visor look.
Is it the Flash or is that Johnny Quick?
It says the Flash. So.
The Flash, 7-inch scale, brand new comics film. He's dressed like Johnny Quick.
I'm not sure.
But I don't know.
So,
and
and I'm slightly disappointed because here's one of the ones that I really liked, and I don't know if I like it so much anymore. That they hinted at was the Captain Cold. So,
yep, I don't like the mask on him, and
Yeah.
I don't like his gun hand.
Yeah. What about Heatwave here? He looks like a Warhammer 40K guy right there.
Yeah,
that's Warhammer 40K to me.
That's the thing is, okay, so you say, what about Heatwave? I take both Heatwave and Captain Cold and say they just don't look like DC figures to me.
Yeah, so, and this is part of the thing. So is it, McFarlane's kind of spin on it? Because we'll see. We'll see how it goes.
And they should have, I mean, they probably look directly like this from the comic book that comes with it.
Right. Yeah, obviously these are from the comic inspired, so.
Now this Ryan Choi figure right here, Ryan Choi, Adam, yep. Captain. Is it Captain? No, it's just Adam.
Just the Adam.
Yeah. I will get that.
I like that. I think these are 25 with the comic. So, and then you get your Gorilla Grodd. So, not sure how I feel about it. I mean, it looks good, but
I like the other one.
Yeah. Yeah, we'll see how they sell, because that's kind of been the rumor, right? Is Wes from Thinking Critical did a video today about McFarlane made a play in the past to to make a play for some of the titles, so to lease out some of the DC titles, and the prices were just astronomical. And now that there's a change in leadership, rumor is that he's going to try and see, what it's going to take this time. And I'd love to see what McFarlane can do with some of the titles, because he's not only like reinvigorated, Spawn, but I mean it's selling at an incredibly high level. The whole Spawn universe right now is selling incredibly well.
The Motor City Comic Book Convention, October 2021, right? Yeah. When we went, you were there, but yeah. We went to the Capullo and Scott Snyder panel, and my brother-in-law Jay, who's been on the show, hi Jay, he had a question. And they were picking everybody else but him, so I started raising my hand too, because I was going to get his question. And then I thought of my own question, and I was like, I better shut the fuck up right now, because anyways, they finally did call on him. And his question was, is there any chance that Todd McFarlane would do Batman again? Batman and Spawn team up again. And without missing a beat, Capullo goes, oh yeah, we already did it. Yeah, we did that like 2017. What? Everybody in the room.
I'm sorry. What?
What did you just say? He goes, yeah, I'm sure you can find my art for it online. I had to draw a bunch of stuff, but the deal fell through between Todd and DC. But yeah, I did a bunch of work for that. And then Scott Snyder says, well, yeah. And then when they wanted to do a multiverse for the Dark Knight's Metal, I suggested, well, why don't we do an omniverse where we can have the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles come? We can have, I mean, he was talking about everybody. Spawn. He had Spawn as one of the main characters as an opposing force to the Batman Who Laughs or something like that. I mean, and they're going on. And you see my nephew, me, and Jason just sitting there like, it's not happening!
My God!
What kind of unjust world is this? And yeah, that's what they left us with. Talk about like a case of comic book blue balls, man.
Yeah.
Then
But
I
don't
went to the
worry.
Smallville show, and Patrick and Jason ended up hanging out with those two later on. I hung out with them the rest of the night, waiting for me to get done with Smallville.
But apparently, you guys knew ahead of time. But that is supposed to be. Is that supposed to be happening later this year, or is that supposed to be happening for next year? I think it's next year.
Well, I'm not sure. I got to do a little bit more research on that because that's going to get me to buy a paper comic again.
Yeah, because I know Silvestri's comic is coming out. It's supposed to be hitting November,
And
then
what's his
also the
comic about?
Wildcat. It's the Batman and Joker team up.
That's right.
Yeah, that's supposed to be in November, also along with the Wildcats comic, first Wildcat comic in 12 years. So
I'm going to buy that one for sure.
Yeah. Well, why would it?
No, I mean,
All
yeah.
Right, so let's talk about some other stuff that McFarlane's released. So, what about this guy?
I can't wait to get him into a head swap.
Right. All right. So this is the Superman Gold label from Batman Hush.
Does he look like he's the same buck as the Dark Knight Returns Superman? Does he look that big? I mean, I'm worried he's that big.
I don't know. I mean, not like the same shape, because the Dark Knight one, it's kind of like an odd shape.
He looks like big boy.
But he is freaking huge. Not you say that. Like his arms are gigantic.
Yeah, he's a big Superman right there. But I want to take the head off of the Page Puncher Superman, put him on that one. See what it looks like. I don't know. I'm gonna have to paint that Page Puncher Superman. I can't stop seeing the dark colors.
Did we talk about this at all?
In private.
Yeah, because I say, like I said, we had so much stuff we want to talk about. This was definitely one of the biggest ones that we want to talk about. So the 30th anniversary of the Batman animated series is this year, and they are putting out what I thought the Batman Year 2 was the coolest freaking thing, but this guy with the whole,
it's obnoxious and it works.
That's
the thing.
And awesome. So you get, if you know, everybody knows the iconic opening to the Batman animated series. They made that into a figure.
Yes, they did.
That's so good. Love it. I love you.
And I gotta shut my camera off for a second here. Right. Oh, I'm not on live. Okay, good. I'm starting to get choked up looking at that.
So, but yeah, that I think it was it Toy Shiz that posted that. That's already starting to hit Walmart's already. So that's the gold label one with the autographed card from who is it?
I can't buy that.
The Bruce Timm one. So that one's, I think that one's 75, but the standard one is 50.
Bruce Timm.
Yeah. Yep. So that's the toy news.
Anyways, that sucks. That's so crazy. Bruce Timm's autograph on that?
Yeah, that's the gold label one. I assume that one's sold out already. This is obviously anybody who knows this was a few weeks ago.
Have they gone up for pre-order?
Oh yeah,
Okay.
they went up that day when they were announced. So you can probably get the standard one. The gold one, I don't know with the autograph card. That's probably harder to get.
What's this? Now that I'm looking, they got something about McFarlane Toys DC Multiverse 7-inch Static Shock multicolor action figure. If this is something, okay, it's just an ad. Good. Okay. I was like, if the robots picked up on us talking about it. Which the action figure for Static Shock? Can you do you have the do you have them up here? Because I didn't review them, but I should have. But there's just so many other figures in front of him that are like big exciting ones right now.
Cat's trying to get up on me.
But if you can show Static Shock, if we find him, there he is. If we click on him, he's got
warning.
Nice. He's got 2 stands he comes with. All right. Well,
I know this guy that makes the dioramas.
Yeah, I got a brick press.
Really?
Yeah, it's just about yay big, and you just press it into the stuff.
Press it into foam.
Yeah. Anyways, the stand that he comes with is what I wanted to show you, and obviously we're not going to see it here. He doesn't come with just one of those black pack. I don't even know if he comes with one of those standard ones. I can't remember from the packaging. But he comes with like this big wide like screen to stand on. Hey, fuck it, I'll just show you.
Did you just leave? Adam left. I'm sure he'll be back. So while Adam's away, I'll just keep scrolling and trying to find the there it is. So that's the Static Shock. So our Static Shock from the Static Shock, the new 52 is available for pre-order. This one's older, so Hawkins' life changed dramatically after he got caught up in a local gang war and was doused with an experimental chemical that contained a mutagen agent. This led to him gaining a variety of electromagnetic powers, and as a big fan of comic books, Hawkins decided to use his powers to help clean up his community and save the innocents. Hey, you're back.
I'm back. What's a good word?
I was scrolling for stuff, and I'm like, did Animus leave?
I said, "F it, I'll show you" with his stand.
Yeah, so I didn't realize that meant you getting up and walking away.
Yeah, so this is the stand that comes with Static Shock. Okay. Now I don't remember if he also comes with this or not, but because I have tons of them sitting around and I need this for where I got them displayed. But he is a very cool figure. I'm very happy that I own him. I remember Static Shock being a animated cartoon. He's another one like Harley Quinn. He got his start in the cartoons. He didn't get his start in the comics. But our friend Chris and I, it was kind of one of those things where it was like when you put 2 and 2 together, like they laid down the foundation for you to put 2 and 2 together on this. Was it CW Kids at the time or Fox Kids? And you're like, wait a minute. This show takes place inside the same world as Batman the Animated Series. And then you get 2 kids going, what? You know what I mean? So, and it was cool. It was cool. It was a fun show to watch. Did you ever watch Static Shock?
No.
It was fun, dude. It was a fun show. And it was about a little kid like us who got these powers. You know, maybe he was like pushing middle school or something. But yeah, it was a very cool show. So then when he got fully absorbed into the DC universe, I was like, we have a winner, folks. We have a winner.
So, all right, Adam, let's talk about.
Wait, don't talk. Sorry, I couldn't reach something. I had to take the headphones off. Let's talk about what?
All right, so if you like the show, we appreciate you watching. But if you want to know what we're going to be talking about on the show, you can jump over to our Instagram, The Escape with Nick and Adam, and we post a bunch of things that either we think are interesting or funny to talk about on the show. So we're going to go through some of those. All right, Adam.
Yeah. Playing with my Static Shock toy. What do you want? No, I'm kidding.
Winnie the Pooh horror movie Blood and Honey gets bloody first trailer.
That's my answer.
It is ridiculous. I watched it and it's good in all the bad ways.
You see the whole movie?
No, just a trailer.
Oh, okay.
But it's ridiculous.
That's awesome.
So
I can't wait.
that's one of those. It's gonna be coming out. I don't remember exactly when it's coming out, but yeah, that's something we'll be keeping an eye on. All right, so I'm going the wrong way. So, Adam, Warner Brothers Discovery confirms DC Fandom 2022 is not happening.
Okay, I don't hear those little children yelling, "Yay!"
Wait.
Like they should be.
There you go. Well, also it helps when, you push back all your movies, you reshuffled the deck of your movies again. So the only thing really coming out right now, I think, this year is basically Black Adam.
So,
and you already announced everything for that at San Diego Comic-Con. And let's be honest, you don't have that much to announce anyway. So let's just save a few bucks and cut DC's fandom.
Well, also true, and DC's fandom wasn't as good last year as it was the first year. And I think the first year it was only a relief because people could do something because they were stuck in their homes during that quarantine time.
Yeah, it was. I think it was meant to be something that was a little more interactive. But yeah. I mean, once you get so many people watching it, it's impossible.
Okay, so here's my take. I hope we haven't seen the end of DC Fandom. I hope that once the ship is corrected, once it's steered the right way, I hope we get stuff like this back. But right now, it doesn't make sense to have one when you're basically trying to do a course correction.
Yeah, well, as a cost cutting measure, it makes sense. And let's be honest, you don't have anything that exciting to announce, so why bother?
And you don't have anything. Like, the sad part is with the exception of what we just talked about McFarlane, taking some titles and things like that, you don't have writers. You don't have a story yet either. So there's nothing going on in the comic book side of stuff either. I think this is a good idea, but like I said, I don't want it to be the last I see of DC Fandom. I would love to see DC make one hell of a... Well, we all love a comeback story now, don't we? So,
well, yeah, I'd like to see it, but like I said, done a little bit better, a little bit tighter, with some actual exciting things to announce. So, all right, moving on. First look at the new Pinhead for the new Hellraiser reboot. Adam, what do you think of that?
He looks like a girl.
It is.
Oh. Why?
Adam, I think we went over this earlier. It's 2022. Women can do things too.
Well, I mean, is it the same person or is it a different Pinhead?
I think it's just like things in today's day and age. They can just pass the mantle around. It's just Pinhead.
Okay. And this is a TV show?
It's a movie. I think it's a Hulu movie. Hulu's pumping out a bunch of stuff.
All right, fuck it. I'm all in. I'm gonna see this.
All right.
I'm all in. I do want to see this. It's spooky season. You've got my attention. You can't do much worse than Rob Zombie's Halloween 2. Yes, you can. You can make a Nightmare on Elm Street.
Oh.
I can't wait to see this.
So, I was never one of the biggest Hellraiser fans. I have family members who are big Hellraiser fans. We'll see. Got some big shoes to fill.
My mom didn't like that I loved horror as much as I did as a kid anyway, but my sister really got me into it and she liked it too. And my sister and I, we are horror people, but I think my mother found Hellraiser to be exceptionally disturbing, and
Well,
it
that's
didn't
because
like
it
it.
is.
It is. It really is. It really
All
is.
right.
It was like Saw before there was Saw. Really,
Yeah, it's totally in that same vein. So
it's kind of like torture porn.
a little bit. So all right, and then House of the Dragon 2 already got released renewed for a second season. We already talked about Jay Garrick. With Amazon suspending the ratings for Prime series, there are concerns Lord of the Rings is being review bombed. So, Adam, how do you feel about review bombing? I think we talked a little bit on here before, but I think review bombing is kind of one of those ridiculous things that people insist on being negative, but review bombing goes both ways because, like IMDb, which I just learned today, not shocked, but I just kind of, you put two and two together. You're like, oh, yeah, IMDb is owned by Amazon. And one of the things that's been happening, especially with bigger projects that are somewhat controversial or something that like YouTubers like us or other YouTubers who like to bash on things a little bit more than we do, people go and review bombs, either give it once before the things even come out, or vice versa. People do give it tens before it ever comes out. But I usually say it works itself out because they end up kind of canceling each other out anyway, and it ends up kind of working itself out. But
As far as reviews go and review bombs go, how do I feel about review bombs? I'm against them, obviously. I'd rather see anything handled fair than handled with any kind of like uh, non-objective or non-subjective look at it. Uh, I miss the days of like the Siskel and Eberts and all that kind of stuff. So I don't know. Here's how I go about reviewing. What have I heard about it? I've heard some good things, I've heard some bad things, and then I just see it myself if I'm that interested in it. Because you're not going to keep me away from it. If you give me a review on a movie that I really want to see and you tell me it's shit, I'm still going to go see it.
yeah, I'm not a big fan of taking away people's voices in general, and especially that's one of the biggest things that the internet is for. Is hey, any idiot like me can go and grab a microphone or type something on
Sure. Right.
anywhere, and I just don't like things being taken away from voices being taken away. Whether you want to use your voice for stupid or if you want to use it for whatever, it's you know
But I mean, if this is for reviewing something, I mean, is there a fair structure set up? I mean, once your review is in, your review is in. Can you put in 10 more?
typically like IMDb. You have an account, so if you have
Right.
10 accounts, yeah, technically you got
Okay.
100. You can make 100 accounts. You want to make 100 emails. If you have that much time to make to
Sure.
go and do this, probably should go get a job. But anyway,
Or this is your job.
or yeah, well then I need to get a job like that.
Yeah. I mean, they're out there. They're out there.
So, but anyway, I'm not the biggest fan of. I'm with you. I'm not the biggest fan of review bombing, but also I'm not the biggest fan of taking, uh, you know, the average guy's voice away. So
No,
anyway,
I don't want to take the average guy's voice away. Not under any stretch of the imagination. I just want to. Uh, I think if it's something like that, I don't know. Every car has to have a safety belt in it, right? So if you're gonna have if you're gonna have people be able to review things, then put your review out, and then that's your only review.
right.
You know what I mean? Because I don't think you should have to put somebody out to skew numbers, because then I think we turn it into lying.
Right. So, all right, moving on. Disney first look at Hulu's Alien series revealed. So Noah Hawley, who created Fargo and Legion, is creating a Alien series for Hulu that's supposed to be coming out in 2023. Adam, does that do anything for you?
No, I mean I think it's cool. I hope it's good.
But
Uh,
it's kind of like the Lord of the Rings series. It's like, I mean, this is the Alien series is a special series. You can't just fuck around with it.
well, here we go. I'm gonna start sounding like back in my day type stuff right now, like an old man. But In the 90s, though, and then the late 80s, it just seemed like they had good idea after good idea after good idea after good idea. Like, they didn't have time to make a show about the aliens because they were already on to the next cool thing that was coming out for movies. And that was a time, too, where TV and movies, like, talk about taboo. Like, oh, no. He's not coming over here. He's a TV guy. We can't put him on the big screen. He's a TV guy. We can't put him on the small screen. He's a movie guy. There's no new ideas right now that are coming into theaters. None that I've seen that I think are any good. I think the horror genre is the closest thing to, like, is the only thing to come close to that lately. And even they're still, I mean, look at the Pinhead we just saw. Even they're still cherry picking from the past.
Well,
I don't know. How much do you like a fucking Xenomorph? You like Xenomorphs? Watch it. Hey, if that Xenomorph, if they dress that look, this is it. This is where I stand. They dress that Xenomorph up like a bat and have it out fighting crime in a shitty city, I'll watch one episode.
You will have my attention.
So there's something for everyone out there. And if they make it, I hope that the fan base who watched The Alien love it. Because I didn't love Batwoman, and I deserved to love Batwoman. And so did the rest of the world. So I hope it's not a steaming pile of shit from the fans. That's what I hope.
All right, Adam. So let's talk about something that we brought up earlier. We're going to skip a couple things, but this will be the last topic here. Adam, who do you think is kind of like one of the biggest assholes in Hollywood?
Oh, not Holly Madison. Sorry. You're like, Adam, who would you? And I'm like, Holly Madison.
Still? Good for you.
Holly Madison. From The Girls Next Door? Who do you think I was talking about?
Oh, I said that's like 20 years ago. I was like, still good? Still? Okay.
She's prettier now. It's crazy.
Adam, I put up for you the biggest asshole in Hollywood right now. It might be Olivia Wilde.
Immunity.
I'll be right back.
Hey, you can't leave me here when I just said that. I don't know. So Olivia Wilde is being a jerk in Hollywood. I don't know. Nobody wants to work with her. It's not the first time. It's not the last time that's going to happen with someone in Hollywood. As far as Olivia Wilde is concerned, we always got to work with people who are difficult. Doesn't sound to me like she's berating somebody to the point of harassment. Of course, Nick might tell us something a little different. Won't you, Nick? You might tell us something we don't know. Is she berating people? Is she harassing people? What kind of villain is she?
Okay, so this is when I first saw Olivia Wilde. It was a show called The Black Dumplings, and I forget exactly when it came out, but I said, "Holy moly, who is that?" As she's talented. She seems like she's got a good head on her shoulders. This girl is going to be the future of filmmaking. She's going to be in everything. She's going to be a huge star. And then she kind of wasn't. And you kind of go, why? As it turns out, she's a bit of an asshole. So, her latest film, which was it Venice Film Festival? Don't Worry, Darling. This thing has had so many damn issues where you have Florence Pugh coming out and saying, I'm not going, so Olivia Wilde directed this movie. Directed, and then Harry Styles is, I don't know if he's a star, but he's one of the stars. On the set, they get into a relationship in real life. And then you have Florence Pugh, which I know you're a big fan of. Florence Pugh, is one of the bigger named actresses right now. And she's going around saying, I'm not doing any publicity for your movie. Basically, like, and that's the Hollywood equivalent of, we're fighting. as much that's as much damage as she can do legally. And I think it's the first time I've ever heard anyone go out and say, I'm starring in this movie and I'm not, promoting it at all.
I'm probably going to have a very unpopular opinion of this.
That's fine. But anyway, so you have. Sorry.
Is Olivia Wilde harassing anybody?
Well,
Is
that's
she?
it. You have to say what is happening, and then you have Shia LaBeouf, who was also, I think I think that's the role that Harry Styles came in and filled in for. They were saying that he was fired, and then he came out and said, "No, I quit." And here's proof because he posted a video from Olivia Wilde basically begging him to come back. So something's going on the set of this movie where you're just pissing people off. When you piss off your stars bad enough to say, go bleep yourself, and then your other big star saying, I'm not doing anything for this movie, to help with this movie. And then you have Chris Pine, who's also in the movie. There's rumors that he spit on. Who did he spit on? He spit on Harry Styles. It's like, what the hell's going on? Like, what? And you have to say, what is the common thread through this? And it's Olivia Wilde. Like, what the hell's going on?
All right. Well, if Olivia Wilde is just difficult to work with and she's just being an asshole, then these guys probably need to go back to sensitivity school. If she's actually harassing people and hurting people's, if she's being demonstrative and literally like breaking laws and things that an employer should not do, well, then I'd hang her. Not literally hang her, but then hang her out to dry. She's done. But if this is just a case where you're working with somebody who's passionate about their project and who doesn't give a shit about being an asshole, like I work with a guy and I totally agree with him on this. He says, I have no problem treating people like dirt or being an asshole if you're going to put me in the fucking. If you don't want to come here and you don't want to work, I don't give a fuck about you. And he's a young guy. He says this. He's not anybody's a boss or anything like that. But he doesn't mind having to be an asshole if he's got to get the job done. And if that's what the problem is here, that she's just working with schedules, she's working with prima donnas. I mean, Shia LaBeouf's name came up in the conversation, and everybody all of a sudden thinks like, oh no, Shia LaBeouf. If Shia LaBeouf's involved with it, he's probably at fault because he's Shia LaFucking-Buff.
Well, let's be honest. He doesn't have the best reputation. But
exactly.
when people are siding with him, there's an issue.
And my thing is this: I'd like to know what their issue is, because if she's not being demonstrative, she's not being abusive, then she's just being a pain in the ass boss. And we all have that. But we all got at the end of the day, we all got to work. We all got to do what we got to do, right? Sometimes you're going to work for people you don't necessarily like. Well, sometimes you got to cooperate with people that you never would even let inside your home, which is why during certain times of crisis, I decided to cooperate with the U.S. government. Would I ever let them in my home? No. Would I ever have dinner with them? No. But, for the illusion of safety, I just might do business with them.
Okay. So let's, I don't know. All right. So I'm going to go into this article real quick from People just because it's one of the first ones. So let's see what it says all right. So, from People, controversy around Olivia Wilde's "Don't Worry, Darling" is tough to navigate with a smile. Source: everyone went into the movie with the best of intentions. A source that tells People of the cast who gathered at the Venice Film Festival for September 5th world premiere. So, the cast of Olivia Wilde's upcoming thriller "Don't Worry, Darling" assembled on the red carpet for the premiere. Blah 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 blah. And see here. So, nevertheless, over the past several weeks, the movie starring Olivia Wilde's real-life boyfriend, pop star Harry Styles, 28, and Florence Pugh, 26, as a 1950s California couple living in a strange, planned suburban community, has been in headlines for the behind-the-scenes turmoil. Director and co-star, I forgot that she was actually co-starring it as well. Wilde, 38, said in a Variety interview published August 24th, that she fired original star Shia LaBeouf, who was supposed to play Styles' role, due to his combative nature. LaBeouf then shot back in an email to Variety saying he quit the film due to lack of rehearsal time. The actor provided that the publication with the email he claims to have sent to Wilde, asking her to set the record straight. You and I both know the reasons for my exit. He wrote, I quit your film because your actors and I couldn't find time to rehearse, which is an issue. you can say whatever you want, but if just like anything else, if they feel they can't put out the best performance because they can't even get rehearsal time, I completely understand that. But also, Variety also referenced a video of Wild, which LaBeouf claims she sent him after he made the decision to leave. I feel like I'm not ready to give up on this yet. I'm too heartbroken. I want to figure this out. Wild said in a video, I think this might be a bit of a wake-up call for Miss Flo. I want to know if you're open to give this a shot with me. So, there's, it goes, it doesn't go very far, but then, like I said, issues with Florence Pugh, and it'd be a hell of a thing for her to say, "Hey, I'm not doing this," because she is still so young in the industry. I think that'd be a hell of a, like, there's something going on with this movie, and all signs point to Florence Pugh, or not Florence Pugh, but Olivia Wilde is essentially terrible to work with.
Florence Pugh said something interesting in a video, an interview, like a behind the scenes thing, I think, with one of the Marvel shows. And she was talking to Scarlett Johansson after shooting Black Widow. And she's like, yeah, she says, I'm going to take a break. And then I was going to say, Black Widow said, Scarlett Johansson said, don't do that. She's like, people, they want to work with you right now. She's like, work with people while they want to work with you.
Yep.
Then you fast forward a few months and like Scarlett Johansson doesn't say shit and then sues Disney and then wins. And like gracefully, she does all of this. Like you don't hear about it. It happens. It gets settled. It's over. She's got a lot of grace to her. You got to give it to Scarlett Johansson for that. Now you're hearing Florence Pugh say, well, this was such a shit experience. I'm not going out and advertising your movie. It makes me wonder if she's still getting good advice from ScarJo. You know what I mean? And I don't want to start a rumor, but
no, but I've never heard of an actor saying. I've heard of actors like, "Hey, I'm not going to go on the press junket. Like, I'm not going to go on tour for this because I've got other stuff going on." But I've never heard an actor or actress come out and say, "I'm not doing publicity for this movie because F you, that's why."
Yeah, the only time I've ever seen that was Jim Carrey with Kick-Ass 2.
Yeah.
That was it. And he was taking a stance about gun control or whatever, but he did it.
But still cash that check, though, I bet.
Oh, I know he did. You know he did.
But also, I mean, there's been so much craziness going on where I think it was Jason Sudeikis, she's in the process of getting divorced from, had the divorce papers delivered to her during a conference where she was on stage. And that's kind of one of those things where it's like, is that just petty? Because you can't always, like, if you're getting served papers, that's not always, hey, go serve them at this time. It's just when that person can be reached. But also it's Hollywood. And it's kind of one of those things where like, there's just, it's a famous picture for like what this, folder. And she's just like, what the hell just happened? Like in the most conferences, like, you've been served. Bam. There you go.
Wow.
Lots of turmoil, lots of chaos going on. And I'm going to say right now, Olivia Wilde might be the biggest a-hole in Hollywood right now. Girl power. Good job you've done.
Immunity.
I mean, hey, Adam, how's Amber Heard doing?
She's immune.
Correct answer. It does not matter because she's so pretty.
That's right. As far as I'm concerned, she's totally forgiven.
Right. Screw Johnny Depp.
Well, that's a different topic, but yes. There are way more reasons on this world to condemn that man than Amber Heard. Anyways, now that I'm angry. You wouldn't like me when I'm angry. And I wish when I got mad, I turned into some uncontrollable, fucked up Hulk that just destroyed everything. Wouldn't that be cruel?
No. That would be cruel. It wouldn't be cool.
Well, I see your point, but it'd still be cool.
And then just be like, and then what happens?
No
one talks to you.
To the fifth grader driving the bus right now up here. Fuck this guy, it'd be cool.
Yeah, guys don't understand. I'm so cool right now.
What happened? We were talking about Amber Heard.
We
I
were
said
talking about
something
action
about
figures. Yeah.
I said something about Johnny Depp, and he lost it.
Who knew? Who knew Johnny Depp was the trigger?
Right.
All right, Adam. Let's start wrapping it up. I think we're gonna try and get a couple more guests on for later this week. We'll see what we can do, and we're gonna have a little bit of a roundtable about Ring of Power and House of the Dragon. So just like we did for Kenobi and some other shows. So we'll see how that goes. But that's the plan right now. And when we do that, we'll probably do that on Thursdays if we can. That being said, things happen. So
They do.
but like I said earlier, if you would like to see what we're going to be talking about on the show, one of the good ways to find that out is go check us out on Instagram and Facebook, where we post a bunch of nonsense. Sometimes it's good, sometimes not so good. Sometimes it's funny, sometimes not so funny. But that is usually what, if you want to know, keep up with kind of what's going on, we do our best to keep you informed over there. And then we talk about it on our show. But also some of the things that we do, Adam, we review toys, some comics, and we have just put up a review of Adam's last review for
Booster Gold and Blue Beetle.
Blue Beetle. And Adam, what's the next one coming up?
You thought darkness was your ally, but you really adopted the dark. I was born in it. Molded by it. Anyways, yeah, it's gonna be a little personal too. Because there's no way I can talk about the true essence of this character until I tell you what the true essence of this character, what kind of impact this essence had on a 13-year-old.
And spoiler alert, it's not the one from the movie or movies.
It's not. It's Bane. It's the original Bane. And I will bring up the Dark Knight Rises in this because they were close. They were very, 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 very close. They shit the bed on that at the end, but they were very close to delivering a Bane that was, yeah, that's him. But they were very close on delivering a Batman too. That was Batman. You know what I mean?
I heard a rumor about Christopher Nolan's Batman that I'd not heard before.
And
that was Christopher Nolan went to Warner Brothers, who he had a contract with, and said, "I want to do a noir crime, mystery crime thriller." And they're like, "Make it Batman, and you can do whatever you want." And he said, "Okay."
Well, kind of. That's actually kind of what happened. They were looking for somebody to revitalize Batman, and but in their head there was no rush as far as they were concerned. Like, remember earlier when I said, "Well, you were going to the bathroom," I said, "If the season 2 sucks and you've already got
letting the dogs out, I'm the one here."
Okay, my bad. And I said, along the lines of, "You do what you used to do. You pull the plug and you don't air season 2."
Right.
So the idea for Batman was the last movie we put out was 1997, and we pulled the plug. So it would be nice to get that going again. But as a company, we will never, ever make another Batman movie. That was their that's how they handled shit back then. Never again. But he wanted to do Inception. And he pitched it, and they said, "Well, how about Batman?" And he was like, "Excuse me, a baking soda?" You know, right. What?
I'm sorry.
Well, yeah, you just.
I was like, did you not hear what I just said?
It was like the only good idea Warner Brothers has ever had.
Yeah, we've got the only leverage we've got. We're going to use it on Christopher Nolan, of all people.
Who was, all due respect to Christopher Nolan, this only happened because he wasn't exactly a somebody yet.
Yeah, he wasn't Christopher Nolan. He was just Chris.
Yeah,
he made some interesting films.
Yeah, he made Memento, and they're like, "What could he do with Batman? We don't give a shit about Batman, do we? No, that doesn't make us any money at all. Fuck it, let's give him Batman."
Yeah, whatever.
And then they gave him Batman. Be careful what you wish for. And between him and David Goyer, the rest is history. Until Matt Reeves came along with his vision, there's never been a closer incarnation of Batman on the big screen. And there's never been a closer incarnation of Bane on the big screen, which is why we're talking about this right now. But that character that Tom Hardy played, that was almost the same character that took Batman down in Nightfall back in 1992, or back in 1993. And for those of you who would like a little sneak peek at what I mean about a personal action figure review, the breaking of the Batman literally took place in an era of history where Superman was dead. It wasn't like there was just some storyline going on, or you couldn't say, well, if Thor was in this, why didn't Tony Stark show up? Well, if Batman was getting his ass kicked so bad, why didn't Superman show up? He was dead.
He was dead, yeah.
4 months prior to that was the death of Superman. So we literally began living in an era, a world without heroes, in my opinion. The big two, anyway.
Well, and how many issues is Nightfall? It's a monstrous story.
20. There are 10 issues of Nightfall, and then in Nightfall number 11, Bane breaks Batman's back. Then you've got Nightfall 12. Well, you got Nightfall 12 through 19, I think. And Nightfall 19 is where Batman defeats Bane, but it's not Batman, it's Jean-Paul Valley. He defeats Batman. Asbats defeats him. And he makes a pretty good argument. He was like, "You're not Batman." He's like, "Oh, yes, I am. I'm a better Batman," all this kind of stuff. Jean-Paul Valley was a motherfucker. And it was a weird time to read that comic, especially my only knowledge of Batman truly at the time was Batman the Animated Series, the Michael Keaton movies, the
Adam West,
the Adam West stuff. And then I finally get this legitimate Batman comic book, and I read it, and he gets his ass kicked 6 ways from Sunday. He doesn't even get
he's broken.
It's like he's like, "One more time," and he comes lunging at Bane, and Bane just bitch smacks him like this. And then it's just like he's throwing around a My Buddy doll for the rest of the freaking comic. And then the opening of Nightfall 12 is Bane standing on top of a building with Batman over his shoulder saying, "Gotham City is mine. Here is your hero. Here is your protector, broken and done." And he throws him off the side of the building with an already broken back. He bounces off the freaking fire escapes and finally hits the ground. They have to call an ambulance. It's pretty bad.
Yeah, it sounds pretty brutal.
It is. It's really brutal.
But anyway, so where was I at? So you can follow us on Facebook and Instagram, and also if you have not subscribed yet, please subscribe to our YouTube channel. It helps grow the channel, and it just helps us get to our goal of being monetized and getting Adam where he can quit his job and just do YouTube. So, but also, if you are not a fan of YouTube, or it's not how you listen to your podcast, we are on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Amazon Music, Google Podcasts. Amazon Music also includes Audible. So if you're an Audible subscriber, you can check us out and download us over there. And any help would be greatly appreciated. So I want to thank all our current subscribers. I think we've got a few new ones. So thank you so much for subscribing. And if you are a fan of the show, give us a like and a subscribe. Well, other than that, Adam, I think it's time to wrap it up.
Yeah. Thank you guys for watching. Thank you guys for paying attention to the content that we put out. We love you guys.
Thank you so much. And we will see you next time. Good night, America.
Good night, Planet Houston.